What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the riot. So, you might have noticed that I am wearing a beanie today, and that is because it is freezing in my office right now. Yeah, I'm not, wearing it to make a weird fashion statement or to look like an LA hipster. It's just that my office is like sub-zero, and I'm doing everything I can in my power to stay warm. My hands feel like icicles right now, so I'm just trying to get through this review so that I can hop over into the next room and warm up a little bit. The way my office is set up, unfortunately, I can't have a floor heater in here because it would basically knock out the electricity for the whole building. So yeah, maybe once I hit like 100,000 subs, maybe then I can afford better heating. But until then, I just gotta work with what I have. So anyway, guys, last week was a phenomenal week of movie watching, and I got to kind of run the gambit with Chris Gore from Film Threat last week, and we got to see three amazing movies. One of them being Creed 3, which I did review, and I think it posted today. We got to see a special screening of the movie RRR, which, if you guys watch Film Thread, you've heard Chris talk about this movie at nauseum, and deservingly so. This movie it deserves all the accolades that it's getting right now. Great foreign film, a lot of action, a lot of heart, and I do highly recommend watching RRR if you haven't seen it. But the third movie we got to watch, which was very cool, was an advanced screening of John Wick 4, which actually doesn't come out for I think, another 2 weeks. So I'm not going to get into spoilers in this review because I don't want to be that asshole who ruins the movie before it even comes out. You know what I mean? But I am going to talk about just some of the things that I did like about the film. And I'm just going to assume that everyone is a fan of John Wick, right? Like I don't know one person who didn't like the John Wick movies. I mean, you have to be a sociopath to not like John Wick. And I think the reason why people love this series so much is the world building it basically created, right? Like, I think the first movie was just such a great kind of grounded movie. It gave us little hints of his past and his world, but not to the extent that the sequels did, right? So I love the fact that every sequel kind of built on top of the previous movie. And John Wick 4 is no different. It's no different. In fact, John Wick 4 takes place almost directly after what happened in the third movie. Because if you remember what happened in the end of the third movie, he was shot by his friend Winston, played by Ian McShane, and he fell off a roof where his body was retrieved by Lawrence Fishburne, or his character, Lawrence Fishburne's character in the film. And so this movie kind of takes place, like, I'd say maybe even a month or two after that, but not too far off. You know what I mean? And man, here's the thing: everyone just does a great job in this film. Everybody, Keanu Reeves does a great job. Lawrence Fishburne, Ian McShane, uh, Bill Skarsgård, who plays the villain of the film, it just blows me away. But I have to say, the person who stole the show for me in this film was Donnie Yen. And if you guys don't know who Donnie Yen is, man, you are missing out on some amazing Japanese martial arts crime movies. He is a phenomenal actor, and that's twice I used that word. But no, he's a phenomenal actor. He's a legend. Donnie Yen is a legend, and I highly recommend going back and watching his catalog because he really takes the movie for me. And he plays this, and this is a trope actually that I really like in films. He plays a blind assassin, right? And I've always loved that trope. There was this great movie back in the early '90s. Well, it was great to me anyway, starring another legend, Rutger Hauer, called Blind Fury, where he plays a modern day blind swordsman, right? And what was cool about this character is, his walking stick was like a bamboo cane, but inside the bamboo cane was a sword, right? And so I just always love that archetype, right, in movies. And Donnie Yen brings that same energy, doesn't disappoint at all. It's just everyone brought their A game to this film, man. And I think I I would almost place this film, I say probably my second favorite next to the original, right? Because I still think John Wick, the first John Wick, was the best movie, but I definitely place this one almost right after that. So just to kind of get into the story a little bit, the word gets out that John Wick is still alive. Bill Skarsgård's character is basically on the hunt for him. Word gets out because John himself goes on this this killing like rampage and kind of brought the attention on himself, right? And so once Bill Skarsgård realizes that he's still alive, he just he burns down the world trying to get to John Wick, right? But that also includes going after the people that are close to John Wick. And in this case, this being Ian McShane and Lawrence Fishburne's character, right? So yeah, Bill Skarsgård is he's serious in this film, man. Like I buy him 100% as the villain. He kills the role, and you know, it's funny, man, because I feel like the people who don't get the credit they should in these movies, for me, are the stuntmen, right? Like I feel like the stuntmen and women should just get so much accolades for what they do in these films. I think they're so overlooked, but man, all the great action scenes that we get from these films come from these stunt people, man, and they really showed up in this fourth movie. Um, I will say this, right? I thoroughly enjoyed it, but the movie definitely is not without its faults. You know, like there were some things I would have maybe done a little differently. I feel like some of the action beats went on a little too long or longer than they should have. And so I definitely would have made some cuts there. Uh, there's some confusing story elements that don't really get resolved. But again, you know, you'll see it for yourself in the film. But again, even with those little, you know, knick-knacky things, I still enjoyed the movie, right? I still recommend people go watch the film. And what I really love about this movie for me was I there's this homage, right? This homage to the Warriors. And you guys know like what a fan I am of that movie, right? I start every episode of my show with Cyrus, right? So there's a great homage to the Warriors, and anyone who's seen the Warriors or is a fan of the Warriors, you're going to pick it up like that. And I remember when that scene popped up on screen, like I almost elbowed the guy sitting next to me, like because I jumped right because I was like, "That's the Warriors. That is the Warriors." It's one of those nerdy little things, but for me, like you know, I don't see this movie referenced enough in film, right? I think the Warriors should be you know taught in film school, right? Like I love the Warriors. So the fact that we got to, have that in a John Wick movie of all things, for me it was like, okay, bravo, standing ovation. I could look past every flaw in the film because of that. So but yeah, everyone kills it, man. And I think that they end this movie in a way, again, not giving away spoilers, they end this movie in a way where it can either go on to another sequel or it could end right then and there in John Wick 4. So it's a pretty interesting place where they left it off. I will say that. And but the fun, the ride is just getting to that point. And it's a fun ride from the beginning to the very end. I like I said, I don't know anyone who doesn't love John Wick, and you got to be kind of weird if you don't, because this movie it brings an element of everything to it, right? Humor, action, great story, and this one, stays on that path. So anyway, guys, that's my very, very quick spoiler free review of John Wick 4. Definitely go watch it when it comes out. I believe it's on the 26th, 23rd or 26th. I think one of those 2 days. And if you're not following me on Twitter, you guys should definitely follow me on Twitter. I'm a lot more vocal and a lot more myself, if you will, on Twitter because it's uncensored and I could just be my uncensored self. And if you're not following me on YouTube, please by all means follow me on the YouTube. And for those of you who are following me, you know how I feel about you. Love you to death. Anyway, guys, till next time, I'll talk to you soon.